There seems to be an unspoken rule amongst the community that a build must be meta for it to be considered good or worth using. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. For starters, how do we define what is and isn't meta? How do we actually measure it? Meta stands for most effective tactic available, but how do we decide what is or isn't most effective? Of course, some things are just really up there above everything else. Controverse Hold Warlock for example, but that is an extreme outlier and not the norm. There are a lot of great builds out there that all accomplish relatively the same thing, but with their own strengths and weaknesses and even flair. So how do we rate them? How do we figure out if build A is better than build B? The answer is, we can't, at least fairly and without bias. There is no baseline to compare against, because there are so many elements that go into making a build. Weapons, armor, exotics, fragments, aspects, the artifact, and more. The only way to ultimately rate them is based on how we personally feel about them, what feels better to use, and what strengths and weaknesses you value over others. That is just a roundabout kind of way to say that we use what we consider more enjoyable. In other words, what we consider the most fun. Just look at what class you main. Unless you are part of the 1% that have reached tranquility and somehow managed to main all three perfectly, you most definitely gravitate towards one class even if you don't think about it. There's a reason for that. It's because you find that class fun and enjoyable. You enjoy the builds, or the movement, or maybe just the look. Otherwise, we would all be on the same class right now, but we're not, and that is evidence enough. So the question is, why do we stick to meta builds when perhaps a lesser build accomplishes the same job, maybe a little slower, but in a more enjoyable way? The answer is really just because. Why wouldn't you? But the real question we should be asking is, do you have to, and is the potency of a quote-unquote meta build that much more enjoyable than a lesser build? And again, how do we know what is a lesser build and what is a meta build? This doesn't mean I'm advocating for you to use the bottom of the barrel builds, because then that is obviously not going to be fun, which is the point I really want to get across. We play Destiny because hopefully we enjoy it. We play with a focus on a specific class because we enjoy that class, and we should be applying that thinking to builds as well. At the end of the day, the best build out there is the build we get the most enjoyment out of. And that is going to be all from me. Thank you very much for watching or listening, and have a great day.